have so much difficulty, are isolated in the world. I think this is it.
Yeah, isolation is another big issue.
We are now coming to a point where basically we are starting to summarize what we have been doing for years. I think this is it.
Isolation is another issue. Japanese people, they cannot communicate with overseas people. Not only language. They don't try to understand overseas people. It's ridiculous, stupid, weird. Too much selfish. They satisfied and they proud of themselves somewhat. I don't understand how come, but this is different issues. This is big fault, right?
No, I don't think it's that.
And Japanese people, many people go overseas, but no communication with overseas people. Younger people, they're different, very, very different. Many people try to communicate with overseas people, but usually they don't try to communicate with overseas people. They don't try take dinner, drinking with Asian people. They try to speak out in Japanese at party. And also, they want to go to Japanese nightclub, not local people, right? It's stupid that they Asian people never understand Japanese, what they're thinking about. This is they not only Asia but America, Europe the same. Japan is completely isolated. Very risky situation. This is different from Hakoichi. Current Japanese people pitfall, right?
I think actually maybe the reason why this happens is that Japanese people don't feel understood because the way that they see the world, the way that they see history, the way that they see themselves is different.
Okay, good example. I tell you, wait a minute, I tell you, COVID-19. How come Japanese death rate so few, 500, instead of 13,000 British? Why COVID-19, 500 deaths toll, right? This is very strange thing, right? I don't understand how come so small death toll compared with Italy, Spanish, British, France. France is 20,000 deaths. And America is, I don't know how much, 200,000 deaths. It's too small, right? So, but additionally, they try to close down, right? They close shops, restaurants, bars, everything. How come they do that? They try to copy overseas action. This is my strange thing. I don't understand. That's the reason why Japanese is very strange and very isolated from the rest of the world. Overseas people don't want to communicate with Japanese people. It's very strange, right? This is very big issues currently we have.
Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead.
My concern is, those attention those who work in a company, for example, a major company in Japan, and also the level of management, their attention is getting less and less in time, in the sense that when they go outside to do some business, then they don't care about who they are, firstly, and of course who we are. So rather, they don't care about the consequences and result on what they're doing now. So they don't even have that sense to look at the world as innocent or Edison said. We might have different view of looking at the world, but my concern is they don't even have that angle to look at the world. So they don't have any sense to look at the world outside of their angle. So But they don't even think they are how they differ from the rest of the world. And they don't care about the difference.
Why they think like that?
Yeah, I don't know, but education and just as Anusa said in the morning session, to get promoted in the company, we cannot be free from doing acting bureaucratically.
Mhm.
And eventually everything is taken by the sense that we have to act as bureaucrat. Then that's going to be everything. Then we are losing the chance to take some initiative, to take some responsibility.
All right. So your footprint, you don't consider your footprint. You're basically considering the hand that feeds you.
Ed, understand what he said? You mean, Takashi, you said talking about government people?
Not only government people.
Okay, government people, they do not have free talk with overseas people. They are very much restricted by government power balance. They always communicate, negotiate with each ministries. Otherwise, Prime Minister cannot speak out whatever he want to say. But the exception is Kakue Tanaka. He had a big leadership before. So he spoke out whatever he wanted to say. But Abe or Asotaro he cannot speak out whatever they wanted to say because of they try to control by many ministries. And Japanese is a negotiation society based upon bureaucrat. We cannot freely speak out their opinion. So G7, G20, if you can observe Japanese Prime Minister's opinion, he never speak out so many opinions. They cannot get involved in discussion.
Also, my concern is not only for government people, but also the people working in private companies.
In the case of private company, they cannot speak out their unique idea, unique negotiation among their industry. They need to coordinate each other.
Yeah, it's just a coordination, and especially just in a company, the in-house coordination, in-house politics. Then, yeah.
Sort of thinking abroad never happen overseas people. Not like Edo never thinking about, just try to adjust your colleague, your boss, and every other people. Always thinking about you never follow those opinions. Many cases, if you speak out your opinion at the table of a group discussion with overseas people. But Japanese will not do that.
Yeah, in that direction, in that way of thinking something in the company based on that idea, fully called by the bureaucracy and internal coordination. They don't even care about whether this idea is right or wrong. They are just fine as long as that action and idea has been coordinated by some the related internal parties. So I mean, consensus is everything. Within idea, whether this idea goes well or wrong, they don't care. The coordination is prepared, then everything is fine for them.
Ed's face is something confusing now. He never explains that.
I was actually thinking back, and I was wondering, how did we get here from Hakoichiu?
Different aspect is Hakoichiu is a big family, big house, okay? Asian people under the big house. And what he said is under the house, every people need to care about each other, so they cannot speak out whatever he thinks.
Yeah, my point is the Japanese used to have hakoichi maybe in different ways. My point is the contemporary Japanese has lost that sense.
Edo, don't misunderstand. What he said is current Japanese environment is nothing about Hakoichiu. And Japanese company, they try to coordinate each other within his company, okay? Within his company. And he needs to always take care of all industry-wide and negotiation communication. And his company, he himself cannot lead against the other companies. Always coordinate technology and everything, every sort of things. This is a kind of obstacle for Japanese company has. This is different from Hakoichiu. This is some restriction considered for we are the family kind of idea.
That's kind of internal Hakoichiu.
Yeah, that kind of mindset currently we don't have. Even if doing
it exists, but within Japan.
Within Japan, yes, of course, within Japan and outside Japan. But especially within Japan, very fairly, coordinated each other because they can speak English fluently, so they can settle down the final conclusion through the communication.
Right. So the entire process.
I think Hakoichiu and internal politics, internal coordination are 100% different.
Yeah. But actually, the coordination and working together and collaboration, etc. I think that is very clear in Japan. This kind of like consensus, working together, you scratch my back, I scratch yours mentality is very clear, but it completely does not include outside parties.
No. Actually, we try to expand outside.
Expand outside, you're saying?
Yeah. Maybe have you ever read the Imperial Prescription for Education before? No.
Actually, I have a video about
this. This is fundamental of Hakoichiu. How do you communicate with your wife? How do you communicate with your company boss? How to communicate with your friends? How to handle for your parents? So they define everything kind of relationship with each other. This is how to manage Hakoichiu. Under the old relationship, you can establish your nationality, your identity. This is Imperial Prescription for Education. Okay, and the kind of concept is discarded already because everybody's overseas people say this is based upon imperialism. This is different.
So I tend to not completely disagree with the rest of the outside world.
But the Japanese try to expand, not within Japanese, but expand from Japan to outside. The same concept need to be influenced all over the world, so Japanese people can change. But actually, current Japanese, they are obviously different attitude within Japan, outside Japan.
But do you see how easy it is that this kind of attitude is being used for military purposes? Like it's just like
military. I tell you, military different. Military is always their concept is their own interest. They protect themselves. and otherwise they try to invade.
This
is only
have
simple.
An outward focus, right? So the military cannot live in isolation. They will need to have the resources and the political support in order to actually be able to operate. So I can see that basically this kind of like attitude and this kind of mentality, this kind of philosophy could easily be abused. It's a little bit like Greater China idea. They want to exercise their influence outside of China. So this is a kind of political movement. There's nothing wrong with it. But the problem is that it will be abused by people who have a military interest.
What do you mean military? What the intention? I don't understand.
Well, basically, if we look at China, we can all see that and in Japan we all agree that Japan is for China as being aggressive towards its neighbors.
Yeah, military is always they're thinking about invasion.
The Chinese believe that basically they have a responsibility, they have a philosophy that exercises it. This is the average Chinese. This is not a negative thing. This is a positive thing. This is a philosophy.
What do you mean military philosophy? I don't understand. Military is always there. What the action is invasion, expand territory.
Right, but they need political support, and Hakoichu could very easily be used to actually be a vehicle for the military to actually exercise.
Military is always looking for any supportive idea and concept. Just utilize how to utilize it.
Right, but if
this is bad
Japan
thing.
doesn't have an interest.
Yeah, this is bad thing. So many people bias misunderstand military movement and concept of Hakoichu. Military try to how to utilize the Hakoichu, but this is bad utilization.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that it's good, but actually that also makes you wonder, should make you wonder, I believe, that, okay, how can we make sure that this kind of like ideology, this kind of idea, is not going to be abused for military purposes? And that's the concern of China, that's the concern of South Korea, that's the concern of so many other people around the world, that they say, well, actually this kind of revisionism, this kind of Hakoichu, this kind of like well, recently we have this primary school that has been receiving land for 1/10 of the actual value. That school where they kind of like really want to instill this Hakoichu idea into children, that concerns people.
Yeah, like for example, China we should not mixing up like a coronavirus incident and South China Sea invasion. South China Sea invasion is military action. But coronavirus is not military.
But why does China want to do it? And why do so many Chinese people support it? Because they support the military, or what is their philosophy?
No, this is different.
What is their philosophy?
And we need to clearly separate thinking about military action and clearly thinking about Chinese culture is bad issues, good issues. China own their culture. We should focus on that analysis for those areas. Military is very simple, we can say. They invading South China Sea.
Well,
Nothing else.
But actually, basically what they're doing is they're reclaiming the land that they believe is theirs.
No. Military action is in the history. Always they try to expand their territory. They try to get land. They try to real estate, everything else. This is military. They
believe it's theirs, right?
Yes.
No.
No. What?
They believe it's theirs. It's originally it's theirs. They believe that they have a legitimate claim on that land. No.
No. Yeah, but yeah, you need to come back to the 50 years ago. Their concept was different. They gradually take island.
Yeah, but whether they're right or wrong, that's not the question. What I'm asking here is that the Chinese believe that they have a legitimate claim, that they are not doing this because they want to expand their territory, because they believe they want to get their territory back, because it's originally theirs. That's what they believe, right? I'm not saying they're right or wrong, but that's what they believe.
This is not a political issue. This is a military action.
Well, I think that the military actually is supported by political ideas.
Not
That
supported.
actually the
Okay, just
political
we need
ideas
to clearly.
are used to support the military action so that the people are behind the military to do this.